you think of Washington State, you may picture the rocky shorelines, the rainforests of the Olympic National Forest, Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, or the Cascade Mountain Range. Tucked in the northeastern corner of the Evergreen State is the Colville National Forest, which encompass 1.1 million acres of stunning summits and lush old-growth forests. Over 10,000 years ago, Ice Age glaciers carved 3 major valleys found within the Colville National Forest. Today, numerous carved summits, towering up to 7,000 feet above the valley floor, challenge the misconception that the only impressive peaks lie west of the Cascades. The Colville National Forest is home to a variety of wildlife, including black bears, bighorn sheep, cougars, bald eagles, Canadian lynxes, moose, and the last remaining herd of caribou in the lower 48. What most visitors to Washington might not expect, however, is a grizzly bear or wolf sighting. Washington's grizzly population is notoriously low, just 10 bears estimated to live in the North Cascades. This stretch of forest, however, contains a portion of the Selkirk Mountains grizzly bear recovery area. There is an estimated 50 to 60 grizzlies living in this recovery area. Likewise, gray wolves are known to roam this region. Over the last several years, wolf recovery efforts have been in full effect in Washington State and the Colville National Forest. Besides the known animals that call this place home, there may be another species roaming this area. Many news stories and newspaper clippings have appeared over the years of a creature known as Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Stevens County is nestled in the heart of the Colville National Forest and part of the Selkirk Mountain Range. Reports of a wild man have been circulating over the years throughout Stevens County. On November 24th, 1969, possible Sasquatch tracks were found in Bosburg, Washington, which lies within the Stevens County boundaries. While disposing of his trash at a community garbage dump on November 24th, 1969, Joe Rhodes spotted large footprints at the dump and reported his discovery. Sasquatch hunters excitedly descended upon Stevens County. Ray DeHenden, a renowned Sasquatch hunter, and many others, including Roger Patterson, came to the area to investigate these tracks. Sasquatch hunters baited the area with meat and fruit hung from the trees. On December 13th, searchers found more tracks close to one of the baiting areas. The left footprint measured 17.5 inches long, 6.5 inches across the ball of the foot, and 5.5 inches across the heel. The deformed right foot, slightly smaller, had 2 lumps on the outer edge, and a third toe that was either badly twisted or missing. The little toe stuck out at a sharp angle, giving it the nickname Cripplefoot. In all, the Sasquatch hunters found 1,089 footprints, ranging from near the Columbia River, across the railroad tracks and the main highway, over a 43-inch high wired fence, across flatland and halfway up a hill. The footprints then retraced their path and disappeared into the river. 5 days later, a U.S. Border Patrolman found similar tracks on the other side of the river. To this day, no Bigfoot body has ever been found. No evidence at all accepted by the scientific community has come to light. Nevertheless, many people continue to believe that Sasquatch exists, and many still continue to search. My name is Will. I've been researching Bigfoot activity in Stevens County, Washington for almost 15 years. Some of you may know me as Grassman58 on my other channel. Welcome to Bigfoot Back to the Basics. Here I will show you what some of us do when we research an area of interest. I will be discussing terrains, habitats, and field equipment. Join me as I take you with me into 2 locations where we have had experiences and have collected evidence over the years. I will share those stories and much more as I venture deeper into these 2 locations. As you take this journey with me for possible answers and my search for truth about our favorite cryptid. I think years back, Bigfooters were unique individuals. There was a small amount of them, and they just went out and investigated and looked for evidence of Sasquatch. Now there are so many categories of Bigfooters these days. You got your researchers, you got your experts, you got your skeptics, you got Bigfoot enthusiasts, you got the believers, you got the knowers, and then you got the fan base that are just, a lot of them are just so gullible. I've never really liked the terminology researcher for myself, or citizen scientist, but for the longest time I just wanted to be a Bigfoot enthusiast, you know. But now that's almost tainted now with there's so many people out there, you know, just, I don't know. I'm at a point now where there's so much BS in the Bigfoot world that I don't want to have any part of it. And I'm at a point where even calling yourself a researcher is almost insulting in a way, at least in my opinion. I guess I just want to know the truth. And I guess you can just call me a truther now, a Bigfoot truther. That's what I guess I would like to be called, because I'm not out here to necessarily understand these creatures. I just want to experience and hopefully see one with, you know, clear as day. So I'm not a citizen scientist, I'm not a researcher, I'm a truther, because that's all I want to know is the truth. So with all the tools you have out there to go out researching with, you got your night vision, you got your thermal, you got your audio recorder, you got whatever. I mean, there's so much to choose from. But the one thing that's the most important thing to do, the one tool that you definitely need, is a brain. You got to use a lot of common sense. You don't want to get yourself into a situation where you can't get out of. You got to play it safe. You got to understand what Mother Nature's trying to tell you. Common sense is the number one tool. The first thing you need in going out doing this kind of stuff, doing pretty much anything. If you can't use this, then you're not going to be able to figure out anything when it comes to the subject matter. Learn to use this before anything else. Because this, your brain will save you. Welcome everyone to a section of Sasquatch Alley. So Sasquatch Alley is actually a very large area. It's actually a set of mountain ranges that stretch from the Canadian border all the way down to Mount Spokane. The amount of reports coming from this select mountain range is just unreal. It's basically like a corridor, and people have reported hearing knocks, vocalizations, tracks, actual sightings, you name it, all the way down this one corridor of mountains. So I've basically broken up Sasquatch Alley into zones. So Alpha Zone is further north, right near the Canadian border. Alpha Bravo has some nice lakes, very hilly, very thick forest. I've gotten some activity in that area. Zone Charlie is the area that I'm in right now, is so far the most active. The amount of lakes in this area are a lot of lakes, a lot of streams, a lot of marshlands, a lot of swamps, plenty of mountain range, plenty of forest, and the activity seems to be pretty good here. So this is one of the locations that I will be focusing on in these videos, is the Charlie location. The next one is Zone Delta. That is the second location. Now that area is a little more tricky. There are several lakes and streams connecting these lakes, and it takes about a 45-minute drive between Charlie to Delta, but as a crow flies, it's only 11 miles. So the possibility of the activity that I get here in Charlie could be the same group of individuals in the Delta Zone. So I will be working those two locations for the rest of the year. So Zone Charlie, we have experienced a lot of different things here. We've had rocks thrown at us. We've had tons and tons of knocks. We've recorded some vocalizations, which are really, really interesting vocalizations right in this general area. Have a listen. So you can see why I keep coming to Charlie, because there's activity here. There's knocks, there's vocals. We've had some fairly close calls with something in our camp from time to time here. Now, Zone Delta, that area's a little bit different. We do hear the occasional knock or two. We have heard some vocalizations off and on. But what we've been finding there are tracks. Now, there are a lot of reports around this one general area that I'll be focusing on. A lot of reports of aggressive activity, people having rocks thrown at them, their campers being shook if they're camping there. A lot of knocks. Some strange smells have been reported there, rock clacking. Some people have described hearing like a chest thump. But we have found some tracks out there, a variety of different sizes, and the area is interesting because the reports, the way they come in, and from what we've experienced ourselves, is there's activity every 2 years. There's like, not necessarily saying that it only happens every 2 years, but with our past experiences, it seems like it's pretty quiet for 1 year and then it picks up the next year. I don't know why. But we have found a variety of tracks, some really tiny little tracks, all the way up to 15-inch tracks. So it's an interesting location. I think there's just something special about this location. There is a lot of huckleberry bushes in this area, wild mushrooms, tons and tons of deer, black bear, cougar, wolves. They're all hanging out in this one area. So it's definitely an area that's caught my attention, and I'll be checking that out as well. Now, the catchy thing is the Fish and Game. They patrol that area pretty well, and I think they know my vehicle because I'm in there a lot. Every time I go into this one location, they magically show up every time. And I'm sure they know what I'm doing there. I mean, my vehicle is a freaking advertisement for Bigfoot. So, but we have some small talk, and we talk about the local wildlife and the area, and super nice guys. But every time they're out there, when I'm out there, they seem nervous. I've ran into some of these guys in other locations, and they're totally cool, totally fine. But for some odd reason, they seem a little on edge in this area. So whenever I'm interacting with them, they're constantly scanning the hillsides and looking over their shoulders. So it's it's got me wondering if they know if there's something out there. Several times, they've recommended me to head over to a different location, because either it's, a better scenery, or, whatever reason, if I'm kayaking a certain lake, they're like, well, why don't you, go check out this lake, it's a lot better. It's just, they're always wanting me to go somewhere else. And other people have experienced the same thing,
Then I was driving to go take my kayak over there, and there was a ranger parked nearby. He was parked in the road talking to the other campers, I didn't know what they were talking about, but he was kind of blocking the road. So I rolled down my window and said, "Is it okay if I go around? I want to go kayaking." And he said, "Yeah, okay, sure." So I did, and it just seemed, it seemed like maybe something had happened or whatever, because they seemed to be in an intense conversation. Out of my car, and then he drove past me and waited for me where I was going to put in at the water line. So I got it out, I carried it to him, and then he was over there, and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" Good. "Are you going to go fishing today?" "No, I'm not going to go fishing." "Okay." And he says, "Well, there's another lake that's a lot better for kayaking." "I don't know why." And he's like, "Oh, I just think it's, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot nicer. You might want to kayak over there, instead of here." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I just said, "Well, I like the rocks here. It's very pretty, even though it's small." But I just thought that was kind of odd that he would suggest I kayak somewhere else. And then I thought the conversation was over, and so I go down to the lake and start inflating the boat, and he's still back there in the car just kind of looking. And it was just a kind of an awkward moment. And he goes, so last night, was it pretty quiet?" And I just said, and I'm starting to think, what do you mean? "I guess so. It's just me and other family." And he's like, "So you didn't hear anything, nothing going on, just quiet night?" And it's like, "Yeah, quiet night, pretty quiet, And then I didn't say anything, and, I figured he might say something like, might expect me to be like, "Why did you ask?" But I kind of wanted to see what he would say. But it was just a little bit of an awkward end to the conversation. And he goes, "Well, there's just sometimes kids messing around, I thought they might be out doing things." And I thought, okay. So just kind of knowing the history of that place, kind of odd, kind of strange behavior.
I've heard people being, questions on, have you guys experienced anything weird or seen anything? Or, on occasion they get called out for some reason, someone calls them and they're investigating some kind of activity. Not sure what, but so it's going to be kind of a cat and mouse game out there with me. So I won't be going into this location from the regular routes. So I've figured out some back roads into certain areas of this area, and the majority of it I'm going to have to hike in. So should be interesting. Just a quick little tip here. When you park to go hike up a road that's blocked off or whatever, just take your dash cam, plug it into an external battery pack, and just let it run while you're gone, because you never know what might just be walking along the road after you walk through.